When you are in the fountain pen hobby for a while, you'll know that Chinese pens have a reputation of providing a good bang for your buck. But they also have a reputation of being pretty poorly made overall. So when users on the internet started praising the Chinese-made Wing Song 698 for being a well-made pen, and not just a well-made pen for the price, I was deeply intrigued and skeptical at the same time. Well, one, because the Wing Song 698 costs around $16 to $17 on eBay, which is pretty expensive for a Chinese pen. Though I should mention that you can get it for slightly cheaper on Taobao. Well, to put the expensive price tag into perspective, the fully metalled body Jinhao X450 costs $4.70 on AliExpress, and the X750 costs only $3.30. Well, two, the Wing Song 698 is produced under Chinese pen manufacturer Hero, which is known by the Chinese, even by the Chinese community on pen BS for being pretty shit. Well, yeah. So I bought one for myself anyways, and after a year of using this pen, writing a ton with it, I would say that this is the best starter fountain pen for students right now. It's a bold claim that I'll try to get back to in the future. The pen comes in a simple plastic packaging that is probably not going to turn any heads anytime soon. The cap and the body is separated for some reason, and Hero even included a silicone grease to grease up the piston mechanism when it gets rough. Well, however, they chose to include it in a sort of Parker style converter, which is pretty strange. A person who do not know otherwise would simply press the converter and get the silicone grease all over their table and get it all messy. Well, I would say it's in bad taste. Pen itself looks to be heavily inspired by the TWSBI Diamond 580, though it does have its own design quirks to separate it from the 580. Well, like the TWSBI Diamond 580 and the slightly more expensive Pilot Custom Heritage 92, the Wing Song 698 is made of PMMA resin, which is pretty impressive at this price range, and it's also a piston filler like the other two that aforementioned pens. Unlike the Diamond 580, the barrel of the 698 is not faceted, so the plastic is not under stress at all times, potentially saving the 698 from cracking issues that the Diamond 580 suffers from. The nib and fit of the pen is a pilot style nib and fit system, and it's even interchangeable with the ones found on the Pilot 78G, Pilot Kakuno, Pilot Metropolitan, Pilot Pierre, Pilot Penmanship, and the Pilot Plumix. I'll talk more about the nib and fit later. It has a screw cap with an inner cap to prevent the nib from drawing out, so it will not suffer from the issue found on a ton of other Chinese pens, drying out. I personally found the cap to be pretty sturdy. In the course of a year, I have many friends try to rip open the cap thinking it's a snap cap, and the cap is still holding up pretty fine. That's a testament of how sturdy it's made. Overall, I think this is a pretty attractive pen with a modern-esque design going for it. Size-wise, this is a medium-sized pen that feels really good in the hand. The section is large enough to hold without you ever touching the threads, so it's pretty comfortable for long writing sessions, though you might have to take note of your hand oils accumulating on the plastic section, making it pretty hard to grip. The Wing Song 698 has a piston filling mechanism as mentioned before, so you have to take note that it can't take any ink cartridges. Well, personally, I believe that all fountain pen users should learn to use bottled ink eventually, and this is a thing you have to get used to, so it's not a deal breaker by any means. The pen holds a ton of ink and can last me about 3 to 4 days of heavy writing. That's coming from someone who empties his Con 50 converter in about half a day. The piston mechanism itself is pretty smooth overall, and I have not had the need to grease it up with the included silicone grease at all. That's something I could not say the same for the TWISBE Eco. Well, the 698 piston gets stiffer with drier inks like the Rohrer & Klinger Salix that I have over here, but with the Iro Shizuku series or even the Mont Blanc series, it allows the piston mechanism to glide effortlessly. There's one more thing that I have not mentioned about the pen, and that is the piston locking mechanism, which I find to be pretty genius overall. It allows you to have the piston knob sit flush with the pen no matter what position the piston is in. So if you used the TWISBE Eco before, and if you push the piston upwards, you'll notice that the piston cap like kind of extrudes from the pen, and it's pretty unsightly. Well, so it does help with aesthetics a bit, but more importantly, having this locking mechanism would prevent the pesky curious friend from playing with the knob and getting ink spilled everywhere, which I have had experience with that before. So it's a feature that I feel should be included in other piston pens, and I think it's original from Wing Song because I have not seen it on any other piston filling pens before. Now for the most important aspect of the pen itself, the writing. You might have noticed that I switched the nib and fit with the one on my Pilot Metropolitan. That's in no way due to the included nib being bad. It's simply that I bought the pen in extra fine and I found the nib to be a bit too fine for my liking. As for the fit, I do not like demonstrator fit. It's not my thing. I think it looks pretty wacky. But otherwise it's pretty smooth. If you do not take my word for it, you can always take the word of the countless owners of this pen whose experiences corroborates with mine. The nib, the writing experience on that nib is pretty similar to the one on the Pilot Metropolitan. It's smooth with a slight tinge of feedback. It's like writing with a pencil, kind of. If you do not like the feedback, you can always smooth it with micro mesh. But if you prefer writing with this feedback, then you should get this pen over the TWISBE Eco because it's pretty unique. And it's said that they use X-Pilot tooling. I cannot prove or deny that, but I have to say they did the nib pretty well. All in all, you're getting a lot of pen for $16. Remember when I made the claim when I said that the Wingsung 698 is the best starter fountain pen for a student? Well, that basically comes down to 1, the need of the student, and 2, the other fountain pens that are being suggested right now as the best starter fountain pen. Well, I have 4 of them right here with me. In no order, the Faber Castell Lume, the Pilot Metropolitan, the Jinhao X450, and the TWISBE Eco. So what I think that the Wingsung offers over the Lume, the Metropolitan, and the X450 is that it has a larger ink capacity. Well, you see, students write a lot, pages of essays and whatnot every day, so they need the ink capacity that these 3 simply do not offer as cartridge converters. And another thing that student needs, I would say, is a fine nib. The Wingsung comes in an extra fine. Well, that is something that the TWISBE Eco does not provide, since it has, well, a German-made Jowo nib, if you can see it, like, well, yeah, it's pretty thick and might feather or bleed through like the cheap paper that the student is provided with. Of course, that also applies, in my opinion, to the Jinhao X450. It only comes in medium for some reason, and it puts out a lot of ink. This is a gusher. It will tear whatever paper you put it on. So for those reasons alone, I think that the Wingsung 698 if I'm not wrong, is the best beginner fountain pen for a student. You can get the pen with a demonstrator body or with solid color body, but I would refrain from getting the solid color variants because the ink window is known to be a weak point of the pen, and users have shown that it could crack on the solid color variant, so I would get the demonstrator. As for the nib options, it comes with extra fine, fine and medium steel nibs, as well as a 14 karat gold nib option for only $14 if I recall correctly. That is a steal. I believe the Wing Song 698 is heralding a new period of Chinese pens where they actually get good, and I'm actually hyped up to see what else China could produce.